Hey everyone, today let's talk about a detailed analysis of Mavuika and her kit, including the artifacts and weapons that are most suitable for her. As you already know, our Pyro Archon, Mavuika, is a 5-star Pyro Claymore user who rides a motorcycle, enabling her to deal an insane amount of damage. Starting with her kit, her normal and charged attacks are pretty basic, which deals physical damage. Moving on to her skill, this is where things get interesting. Her skill has two forms. First, the tap form. The tap form is called Divine Name Unleashed. When you tap her skill, she enters the Night Soul's Blessing state and summons the Ring of Radiance, which is the same as Raiden Shogun's and deals pyro damage to all nearby enemies every 2 seconds. This effect remains active even if Mavuika is off-field, making this her sub-DPS form. Now you might wonder, is she more powerful than Xiangling? For a basic damage comparison, let's examine their attributes. If we compare the numbers at level 10, Mavuika definitely deals more damage. However, Xiangling is a 4-star character, and her constellations are much easier to obtain. If Xiangling's burst level is increased to level 13, she deals 8% more damage, which is only a slight increase. That said, Mavuika has better passives that significantly buff her damage, so there's no doubt that Mavuika out-damages Xiangling. Now let's talk about Pyro application. Xiangling's burst applies Pyro continuously without any intervals, while Mavuika applies Pyro every 2 seconds. This makes her less effective as a Pyro applicator. Additionally, the duration of Mavuika's skill is not mentioned anywhere. However, as a Natlan character, it is obvious that her skill is based on Night Soul points, and she gets 80 points when activated. Assuming 10 points are consumed per hit, her skill can last for up to 16 seconds. For an average estimation, let's say it lasts 14 to 16 seconds, which is similar to Xiangling. However, Xiangling's cooldown time is longer than Mavuika's. Finally, I can say that in terms of sub-DPS, Mavuika can easily replace Xiangling, but not in Pyro application. Next, the hold form of her skill. The hold form is called Ancient Name Unbound. When you hold her skill, Mavuika hops on her motorcycle, and all her normal and charged attacks are infused with Pyro. It's basically the same as Zelonin's, but dealing Pyro damage. The damage scaling in this form is massive, rivaling even Arlecchino, who is currently the strongest Pyro character. Additionally, after using her burst, Mavuika gains several buffs in this form, which we'll discuss in the burst section. Now moving on to her burst. Mavuika's burst does not rely on energy recharge. Instead, it uses Fighting Spirit, which can be obtained in 2 ways. First, normal attacks hitting opponents generate 1.5 Fighting Spirit. Second, Night Soul points consumed by other characters also grant Fighting Spirit. Once Mavuika gains a minimum of 100 Fighting Spirit, her burst becomes usable. To maximize her burst potential, it's highly recommended to use Natlan characters in her team. For example, if you use Zelonin, her skill consumes 90 Night Soul points, and with 2 normal attacks, you can generate 93 Fighting Spirit for Mavuika. Additionally, Mavuika herself can generate 80 Fighting Spirit every rotation with her skill. However, using normal attacks to gain Fighting Spirit is inefficient, as it'll take ages to reset her burst. This reliance on Natlan characters is Mavuika's main disadvantage. But if you manage to generate 200 Fighting Spirit per rotation, her damage skyrockets. With 200 Fighting Spirit, her burst damage increases by 580% of her attack, reaching a total of 380% damage, the highest burst damage in the game. Additionally, Fighting Spirit also boosts her motorcycle's normal and charged attack damage by 100% and 200%, respectively. Now let's talk about her passives. First, her A1 passive increases Mavuika's attack by 30% 10 seconds whenever a party member triggers Night Soul's burst. Second, her A2 passive increases the current active character's damage by 0.2% for every Fighting Spirit. This means, with 200 Fighting Spirit, the active character gains a 40% damage increase, making Mavuika an excellent buffer. Finally, her A3 passive reduces Night Soul transmission cooldown by 20% for Natlan characters. In conclusion, Mavuika is a top-tier character worth pulling for. She rivals Noviette and Arlecchino in terms of DPS, while also functioning as a strong support and sub-DPS. For her DPS rotation, always use her burst before her skill to maximize her damage output. Now moving on to artifacts. For DPS, the Obsidian Codex set is her best option, or you can use any 2-piece attack sets. For sub-DPS, the hero set works best, but you can also use Golden Troop if you want her skill to deal more damage. For weapons, her best-in-slot weapon is her signature weapon, but the Natlan craftable Claymore is a great free-to-play option. In conclusion, Mavuika is shaping up to be a promising character with both DPS and sub-DPS abilities, making her well worth your Primogems. Remember, this information is related to beta, and it can change any time before release, though the chances of change are low. So that's it for today, guys. I wish you good luck on your pulls.
What?